peeves, things that annoy us. Do you? I do. One of them is young people, we won't put a number on the age, who can't say a sentence without using the word like. Sounds a little familiar? I have made it one of the goals of my life to stamp this out. And I am losing. When I have the children's mass at MQA, Mary Queen of Apostles School, and I'll talk to the children during the homily, it's a dialogue, and that's where I get a good dose of it. And I have threatened them, now you say that sentence without using that word. They can't do it. I ran into an exchange student recently who's been here long enough to do the same thing. I said, in your native country, do you do that? It's kind of like an interesting thing, like. All right. Now, so what? Huh? Little words can mean a lot of things. They can be annoying, but they can be very important. Because the word like is like another word, 2 letters, as, A-S. Did you hear in the gospel this morning, Jesus says, they will know you as my disciples by your love. What kind of love? As I love you. A little word, but that sets up something big. It's not just, oh, do whatever you want. Your love must repeat, reflect, and be informed for others as mine is for you, and that is measured by that crucifix. It is an all-encompassing self-giving. That is the goal of the Christian life, which begins when we are baptized. But it does not end in this life. Our love is never complete, and it is never totally selfless. But the goal of our life is to grow in that direction. It needs attention, it needs focus, it is a discipline, and it is a sacrifice. The secularized notions of liking and loving people are limited. I like my cat, I like hobby, I like this, I enjoy that. I like people in general, I love humanity in general, I can't stand people in particular. There's all kinds of ways that we look at this. But for the Christian, the ideal and the bar is raised to this. And it is against that we measure where we are in this life. Not that it will ever be finished. But I think we lose the uniqueness of Christian love because we use the word all the time. And then we fall into the trap of thinking that our love that is limited is fine. And this comes out when we get into things that I like my friends and I don't like my enemies. And then we get very self-righteous about judging and then take it upon us to other people or to destroy reputation. Think of hate speech. And if you listen to cable TV, if you watch any of the media, look at the way people talk to and about each other. And when we experience these horrible tragedies, as most recently Boston, it taps into our fears. We want to get very defensive and protect ourselves against, of course, the next attack. But if you listen to some of the commentaries about how this happened, and then we do all the investigations. You sit in front of this and you start saying, I hate these categories of people. And we are led to be self-righteous about this. Because when other people use hate speech or really want to tell you how they feel, it kind of says, well, if they can do it, then it's okay for me to feel that way. This is a wake-up call to all of us to be careful not to be controlled and measured by the biases of limited love and respect. I love others when they do something for me. I am not the measure of the total amount of love in life. That is. So the purification of life, and nobody wants suffering. We all pray, take all of our pain, our aches, our heartaches, and our suffering away. Take it away, Lord. Some of it disappears. Some of it remains. But from a spiritual point of view, God never asks anything of us that he does not give us the grace to do. And it is often through our suffering that our love can be deepened and made more profound. Just think of the way you bear with each other in your families when there is an illness. When you married and said for better or for worse, what did you think that meant? We want to say for better, but we don't know. We don't want to talk about worse. What happens when the worst comes? Will we be there for each other? And what happens if we are given the grace to do that? Our love is deepened. It is not destroyed. It is extended. So we should not avoid suffering only because we don't want our life tampered with. Many times it is through the unexpected curves that life takes, some of which we ask for ourselves, and some of which are done to us without our having anything to do with it. These are opportunities for our love for one another, for God, and even our own self-respect to be deepened. Remember that Jesus goes a step further than love your neighbor as yourself. Well, what if you don't love yourself? Which, think about the self-hatred and the low self-esteem and the negative things that we harbor against ourselves. The more miserable I am as a person myself, how do you think I'm going to think about you? Jesus pushes the envelope, and don't stop there, because our own brokenness can get in the way of our care for one another, for each other. We need to keep coming back to the Lord and to be forgiven for our own foibles and our own shortcomings. That's what love is. How many times do you forgive the people you love? A ton. And in somehow receiving that gift and that healing touch of being accepted when we feel unacceptable, we are able then to walk more of that mile with one another. So let us not get too complacent about our biases and our bigotries, and I love certain groups. And then this is not just interpersonal. Look at the whole world. We don't learn. All of the chaos and the strife and the potential conflict and war in the world is rooted in the disrespect that individuals and groups have against each other. This is foreign to the kingdom of God. And in the end, how are we going to live in eternity with each other if somehow we've figured that our whole life here was destroying each other on our way there? Excuse me? Like it's not like going to be like that like. We need to keep this forever in front of us, and we need the people around us. And this is where we wimp out. We need people around us who call us when we get too complacent with this stuff, when we start spouting off our bigotries and our short-sightedness and our biases against the people and things we don't like. Now, some of it, obviously. But in the end, we cannot stay complacent and self-assured with a narrower kind of love and think that that's what this is all about. There's a lot of nice people in the world, but nice is limited. Going to the core is, would I give my life for you? Not just, would I be nice to you when it's convenient for me to do so? This is a quantum that the grace of God is given to us for. So as we come together this morning, we feed on a love that is eternal and is complete. We would settle and we want nothing less. We are given the gift. Our mission then is to share it where it is needed most.